Good evening, guys, and happy Sunday to all of your sunshiny faces. Today, I think I was telling you guys that we had Matthew's graduation ceremony was today, and his girlfriend was actually also graduating as well, and her ceremony that was like earlier, like they weren't in the same like graduation ceremony, so hers was earlier in the day, so we kind of had a whole schedule of things like to do. So we had to leave because it's about like 45 minutes to an hour away from our house, the like campus, you know, the school. And so we went there. I think hers was at 10 o'clock, I want to say it started, maybe, or possibly 11 o'clock or something like that. But I think we got up, I was up at like 7 something, actually. Guys, I wasn't up at 7 o'clock. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning. I don't exactly know why, but I do. I was like anticipating being up before my alarm went off. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, like at the first like chance I get, you know, to get up, I will get up. Like if I wake up on my own, I will get up and get out of bed and, you know, like get moving on the day. I don't know why. My eyes were still closed. It was still dark outside at 5 o'clock in the morning. My eyes were still closed. I sat up in bed and I was like, okay, no alarms had went off or anything like that. I didn't have any alarms clock set or phone set or anything like that for 5 a.m. But all of a sudden, I just like sat up in my bed. My eyes were still closed. Like I said, there was no sunlight coming in. There was no light on. I didn't have the TV on. I just sat up and I was like, okay, I gotta get up. I gotta get going. We gotta get moving. We have a graduation to get to today. Then finally, like after sitting up for like a full minute, like, and I remember this happening. I opened up my eyes and I was like, it's not, it's 5 o'clock in the morning still. I was like, I can still sleep for like another 2 hours. And but I wasn't actually like fully awake. Like my brain was just telling me like, we need to make sure that we get up early. So like I was like awake, but like not awake at the same time. And so like I'm not like a sleepwalker or anything like that, but like I was like in like awake, but like my eyes were still closed. Like I had no clue like what time it was, that the sun was out or not. And also too, I think it kind of threw me off because like yesterday I was also up early because we had that like we had an event kind of thing that we had to go to earlier in the day, or like in the morning yesterday. So I was up early yesterday, and so it was kind of similar, like that I woke up. I don't actually think I woke up earlier than my alarms yesterday, but when I woke up, it was like I remember like opening up my eyes and being like, oh, it's still nighttime, because it was really overcast outside, and so it was like really dark. But then when I woke up today, I think I kind of thought like along the same lines of like, oh, it's just because it's going to be rainy again today, like, you know, again too, so it's cloudy out, and that's probably why, you know, like, and so that's why I was thinking like why it was dark. But then when I actually opened up my eyes, I was like, no, it's like still pitch black out, and it's like 5 a.m. right now. It's like it's not time to get up. And so like I said, I think I got up sometime around 7-ish, but yeah, I had like a whole nother 2 hours that I could sleep. And I actually went to bed like early last night too, but again too, like had I slept just continuously, I feel like that would have been better than waking up at 5 and convincing myself that I had to get up, only to realize that it wasn't actually like time to get up yet. And like it wasn't even like I just like rolled over and like saw my alarm clock and was like, okay, I can fall back asleep. It was like I was like in the mindset of like I need to get up, but my brain wasn't like computing that we actually didn't need to get up, or we did need to get up, because I don't know, I was totally out of it. But anyways, like I said, we did end up going to the graduation ceremonies. Like I was saying, it was Matthew's girlfriend's graduation ceremony was first, and then we ended up, actually, we were gonna go back to Matthew's apartment. Matthew's apartment, I guess, is pretty not, the cleanest place. And like, and I think his roommates were still there, and so we ended up going to his girlfriend's apartment instead. So like Matthew was with us for her graduation ceremony, because like I said, they had 2 separate like graduation, you know, again, the 2 separate ceremonies. I don't know, I wonder, I should have asked them, like, if it would have been better had they had the graduation ceremony at the same time, or if they liked being able to watch each other, like, graduate, you know, because it was 2 separate ceremonies and they each got to be in, like, a separate, like, you know, like, getting to watch each other. So that's interesting. I probably should have asked them that, if it was, like, worth it, or did they want to, like, both graduate at the same time, you know? Whereas, like, she was in her cap and gown, like, earlier, and then Matthew wasn't for her graduation ceremony, and then, like, Matthew was later, and then she wasn't, you know? And so, they didn't, I don't think they got, like, pictures, like, both together in their cap and gown, like, both at the same time. Whereas, like, you know, they took pictures, like, you know, Matthew was kind of in his just, like, dress clothes that he was wearing under his cap and gown, when he was there for hers, whereas, like I said, she was in her, cap and gown, and then they, like, took pictures and everything like that, and it was the same way for Matthew's then. Like I said, I wonder if they, you know, like I said, they liked being able to, you know, both see each other graduate, you know, because again, too, I think, though, it was weird because Matthew was saying, like, with his, he could, like, go up in any order they wanted, like, you know, you just, like, give them your card and then they read you off, whereas, like, they did it in the different, like, majors, sort of. So, like, Matthew was in, like, the last, like, group of, like, the majors for, like, that ceremony. Him and one of his friends were both graduating in that ceremony together, and originally the way it came up in the program, Matthew was like, oh, we're gonna be, like, you know, have to, like, sit in different spots or whatever, but it wasn't like they just had to, like, give them their, like, number, or not their number, but their name when they go up there, and then they just announce their name, you know. So anyways, though, but so they might have, I don't know though, too, they still wouldn't have had the same, like, major or, like, the same degree, so they might have not still been able to, like, sit together, but you know, like, so that's why I'm saying, like, I wonder if they liked being able to, like, watch, you know, each other's like, you know, graduation ceremony, and they were, like, 2 separate kind of things, or again, too, if it would have been better to have, like, been together and done it at the same time. But then again, too, when we went back to Matthew's girlfriend's apartment, like, they went and, like, were taking pictures and stuff like that, you know, around campus and that kind of thing. So then we went back because Matthew also had to get ready and, like, get in his clothes and everything like that, or I guess his cap and gown and that kind of stuff for, you know, again, like, his ceremony. So we were there for a little while. We ended up kind of having a little, like, lunch kind of snack thing, too. And so we were actually watching some of the Bears game also because it was on, and we got to catch, like, the beginning. I actually think we got to watch kind of almost until halftime before we had to leave for Matthew's ceremony. And it was funny, too. I noticed one of the people right in front of us was actually watching the Bears game on his phone, like, during the ceremony. Like, he had, like, the sound off, so, like, you wouldn't have noticed, but, like, I saw him, like, have it in his lap, like, he was watching it, and I was like, oh, he can still catch the Bears game. But anyways, though, we did end up getting to see Matthew graduate, which is really cool. And I think I was telling you guys, too, is the exact same, like, you know, facility and the exact same building and everything like that Jack had his high school graduation at, which is funny, because, like I was saying, it's, like, an hour away, but that's, like, the next, like, biggest college campus to us, other than our local community college. And also, too, I just think, like, it's, like, the one that they can get, and, like, the one that, like, size-wise will fit and stuff like that, because what they did for my graduation, I think you only got, like, 4 tickets, or maybe you got 5 or 6 or something like that. Because I want to say my grandma did go to my graduation ceremony, I believe. So, like I said, I think we had maybe 6 tickets, but only 5 of my family ended up going. Because I was like, well, 6, but I was like, no, I was in the ceremony. So for high school, though, they had a local community college, and they just had, like, the one ceremony. When Matthew graduated, though, I think you got 8 tickets then, and he graduated at the same, like, they had at the same local community college as well, which is actually where Jack's going to school, but they split it into 2 separate ceremonies. So either one was earlier and then one was a little later, or they had one on one day and then the other on the other day. And then again, too, though, now with Jack graduating, I think what happened was when, you know, like, during, like, lockdown and stuff like that, like in the 2020, you know, 2021 graduating class or whatever it would have been, I think that they did graduation, but they did it outside, and they did it at that college, so the college that Matthew graduated from, because again, too, it's a bigger college, but they also had the facility and the space to be able to do it outside, so they could do it in, like, open air and stuff like that. So this was, like I said, I want to say Jack's, like, freshman, or no, maybe his sophomore it's freshman year or something like that, or sophomore year, that graduating class. And I just know because of a couple of people that were like graduating in that class anyway, like we knew that they were having it outside at that, you know, at the campus of, like I said, the school Matthew was going to. And so when they graduated, though, I think that was the first year that they moved it there. And then after that, they've just had it there, I believe, ever since. Because again, too, like I know Jack's graduation last year was there. There was a graduation like the year prior that one of Jack's best friends graduated from, and I know that they had it there as well. And like I said, I think that kind of, you know, like it probably would have been those last couple of years that they've had the graduation ceremony there for. And so they've moved it there ever since. Matthew graduated in the fall semester, like after the fall semester instead of after like the spring semester. And so I think because of that, maybe it was a little bit smaller than it would have been like in the spring semester. But he, you know, like they had, again, two separate ceremonies, but it was not as packed as Jack's ceremony. Again, too, there was probably I want to say there was probably a lot more kids for the high school graduation than there was for the you know, the college graduation. But again, too, they did have two separate ceremonies, and but only like half of the place was filled. So I really think you probably could have, like, they could have fit both of them. But I do like the fact that they kind of had them like two separate ceremonies, because again, too, there was a lot more room. So again, if there were big families or big groups, you also weren't limited to tickets and stuff like that. Like with Jack's graduation ceremony, I think it was the same thing. I think we only had like 6 or 8 tickets. I want to say maybe you had 12 tickets. So there were actually a lot more, I think, for Jack's, but I still feel like it was really, really packed. We got there early and we still had like really like just weird seats. Like everything was taken up like on the like main level. Like we got good seats today. We actually sat in like the same place kind of for both ceremonies, like right in the same sort of area, which was good. But like for Jack's, we were like in just a really weird spot, and it was like really filled up, and like it was almost hard to kind of get seats, and enough seats too for like Jack's graduation ceremony. I kind of wish that the high school had done it this way though, and done two separate like ceremonies, like they had done back when Matthew was there, because they had too many for those, you know, for those kids. But like, I don't know, it's cool and like not cool at the same time. I feel like in college it's different, because again, too, depending on your major and stuff like that, you obviously are like graduating with those kids, and it's a lot of times a lot smaller. Whereas like high school, it's like everybody's graduating with the same thing, a high school diploma, you know, so it's like kind of different. It's kind of weird and like tough to split it up, because again, too, sometimes like where Jack's name is, you know, and he probably would have been split for like a high school graduation, he wouldn't have graduated with one of his best friends because of where they fall in the alphabet. And so like that would have been really weird to have like been like, oh, you graduated yesterday and I graduated today and we didn't get pictures together, or, you know, again, whatever. Or like also too, like what if you have a cousin and like, you know, I'm talking just like high school graduation, but like what if you had a cousin and like they have a different last name than you, and so, you know, you have, or even like a sibling or something like that, you know, and you don't have graduation on the same day because of the way like last names it's split up and stuff like that. So like I totally get that, but at the same time it was like I kind of would have preferred almost that they had it outside, just because I feel like there would have been even more space. Like Jack's was cramped. Matthew's graduation ceremony today, again, too, I felt like there was a lot of just like, they had a lot of the seats too that they didn't even use. Like they didn't even have like pulled out and stuff like that, because they had it in like the, like sort of where they host like the basketball games and volleyball games and that kind of stuff. So they didn't end up using, like a lot of the seats weren't even like on the one side. Whereas again, too, when Jack graduated, every single seat practically was like taken up in the whole place. So it was a different experience between both of the graduation ceremonies. But Jack's was also too really long, and not just because of the amount of kids, they just had so many speeches and it was so hard to hear. Like and it wasn't like, I don't know, it was like, everything felt very well rehearsed for like the college graduation and stuff like that, whereas the high school one, it didn't feel very, I don't want to say well put together, but it just kind of felt difficult to like listen and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, some of the microphones seemed off and stuff like that. And like even too, like at the college graduations, they actually had like not like a teleprompter, but I don't want to say speech recognition either, but they did have like the speech kind of stuff like up on like 2 of the monitors, or you know, TV screens or whatever it is, on 2 ends of the you know, the room, and so you could see and like kind of read along if you were hard of hearing or whatever it was, whereas Jax did not have that, and I could not hear anything. And again too, I don't think it was from where we were sitting, because like, you know, it was very easy to hear today, but it just seemed like for Jack's graduation ceremony, like the volume was like horribly off. And again too, because Jack just graduated in just, you know, again this past, you know, spring, and Matthew just graduated now, you know, and just having 2 of them so close together, I was like, this is like, you know, again, a very kind of different experience than the high school graduation. So anyways, though, it was very fun to get to see Matthew graduate, and that, you know, again too, he's like done with that. I don't know, it's kind of weird to me, like I don't want to say it hasn't hit me, like with Jack, I was like, I don't know, maybe because he's just like the baby of the 3 of us, like it was more like, you know, kind of like hit me like, you know, he's done with school kind of thing, like, you know, it's still weird to me to think of him not being in like elementary school or middle school or high school or something like that. Like to me, when like he goes to school, it's still right down the street at the high school. Like I'm not thinking he's in college, like going to school in college. Maybe that's also the difference too, is like that he's home and commuting to school, whereas Matthew like went and like, you know, stayed in the dorm when he was there and stuff like that. So like that's a little bit different to me, but like again too, I think maybe that's another reason why, like to me, it's not like, oh, Matthew's graduating, he's done with school, like whereas it was for me for Jack. But like I still don't even think that like Jack's in college. I'm like, oh yeah, he's still in high school. I'm like, he's a senior in high school. He'll like forever be a senior in high school to me. That's just how I think of him. You know, even when he's like grown and like, you know, has like a job and stuff like that, graduated college, I'll still be like, he's a senior in high school. Whereas again too, like Matthew, I don't know why, just like, I'm like, yeah, he's still in college. Like maybe I'll just think of it as like that too, like he's always going to be in college. But like it hasn't really hit me or like sunk in or anything like that, that like he's done. And like we asked him that too, we were like, you know, how do you feel like, you know, about like being done with school? He's like, I don't know, I'm happy that like I'm finally done with it. He's like, but it really hasn't like sunk in, like I'm done, you know, like that again too, I don't have any, you know, things that I still have to do for school or like anything like that. He's like, it's like moving on, like I have a job now, you know, I have to like focus on that stuff. Instead of, you know, again, like school and everything like that. And that is the weird thing too, because it's like, you have a job now, like you don't get like summer off, you know, when you're done with your semester or whatever, you know, like that whole kind of thing. Maybe also too, because of when he graduated, because it is like, you know, again, the fall, after the fall semester he graduated, like, you know, right now it's winter time. I'm like, oh, he's just coming home, you know, like, which I think he's coming home maybe on like Tuesday or Wednesday, for like Christmas break. And so, but for him, it's like, you know, again, he starts work, I think I think the 8th or something like that in the new year. So again, it's like that whole kind of like, he's just coming home for break. It's not like he's like done with school. But anyways, guys, it has been, you know, again, a long day as far as to being up so early, and, you know, again, not earlier than I was supposed to be up, but that was the thing too, like I fell asleep shortly after that, but the point of just being up and not being able to like sleep through until like 7 o'clock, I think is what made me even more tired today too. But anyways, I will see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give the gold thumbs up. If you guys are new, I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.